Hey everyone and welcome to Method's Ardeos Guide for Fellowship. I sank many hours into the closed tests and beta just so I could teach you everything you need to know to succeed without stress or frustration. So let's dive right in. On screen right now you'll see a quick cheat sheet. I'll be going through everything more in depth throughout the rest of the video, but here's your no fluff guide. Everything is subject to change, however if you want a quick pick up and play without thinking, well here it is. Ardeos is a ranged spellcaster who revolves around dots and his unique mechanic cinders. He has the ability to output massive burst damage with the correct setup. With Ardeos, it's all about detonate and as a result your dots, but before we can talk about that we need to understand cinders. Cinders is your unique builder spender mechanic that is displayed as flames beneath your character. You generate cinders with your dots and filler ability, and then you'll spend them on detonate to flare up the damage of those dots that you have active on enemies at the time. There are multiple talents that either buff your dot duration or apply new dots, essentially generating more cinders for more detonates. Since our entire gameplay loop revolves around cinder generation, which can be really slow early on, we're opting for a build that will buff up our abilities to let us keep up while we scale. As you unlock talent points throughout your journey, different nodes require different investment, which means our options can be quite free-flowing, but I've gone ahead and made it as simple as possible for you all, outlining what I believe to be the best general setup you can have at every stage. So your talent timeline will look like this. Your first 2 points will go into Great Balls of Fire, third will go into Flare Up, and so on. On screen you'll have a stage by stage breakdown highlighting all of the talents chosen, so just follow along and you'll be grand. The build does shift around, so keep an eye on where talent points are being allocated and feel free to pause the video at any moment to double check things. There is also a talent point counter at the top to help identify how many are being used at each stage. But of course you're free to mix and match and try different things out, just have fun with it. With Ardeos, it's all about your detonate windows, so you want to time your cooldowns and abilities to maximize the damage this deals. The rotation doesn't change much between single target and AoE, and instead the main difference is the timing of your cooldowns enabling you to do what's called a big burn or a small burn. The only actual difference between single target and AoE is that you'll be spending more time reapplying Searing Blaze manually on AoE, whereas on single target you have the freedom to just spam your filler ability. With all that in mind, here's what your big burn is going to look like. First, your Fire Frogs. These do a ton of damage on their own, but have a little delay to actually hit your targets. After that, you'll want Apocalypse to apply AoE Searing Blaze, follow that up with Engulfing Flames and Pyromania before slamming 2 Fireballs into Wildfire. After that, it's just a matter of spamming Detonate as much as you physically can while your dots are still rolling, and then you'll spam Infernal Wave until your small burn. You'll be able to do one small burn in between your big burns, and a small burn looks something like this. You'll simply Fireball into Engulfing Flames before spending any detonates you've built up. In between these burn windows, you'll have to take the time to refresh any expiring blazes and again spam Infernal Wave as much as possible to generate cinders. How you play with your ultimate is essentially the same, except you'll dump all your detonates after Fireball and then activate your ult into Wildfire and detonate spam again. Your ultimate will basically give you max detonate charges, so just keep that in mind. Another thing to note is both Pyromania and Wildfire are off the GCD. Outside of your damaging abilities, you have a few extra buttons. These are Flame Ward, your personal defensive, and Fire Flash, which is an AoE disorient useful for stopping mob casts. The stat priority for Ardeos looks like this. Eye level is king, followed by haste, then expertise, then crit, then spirit. In essence, haste allows us to generate far more cinders and just do more damage. For gems, Topaz is really strong for us. Initially you can use any tier 1 gems, but with how gem power actually works, I typically recommend putting all of your eggs into one basket later on. When it comes to legendaries, I'd recommend the Cloak. A simple 50% damage increase to detonate on low health targets plays perfectly into where the majority of our damage comes from. Our setup takes time and as a result enemies will naturally be lower health before we pop. For weapons, there are a couple of solid options. You can either opt for Icicles of Anzir, as the AoE Icicles can proc our Fire Frogs, or Ash's Embrace for massive amounts of CDR, allowing you to big burn far more often. Relics are mostly just personal preference or group dependent since they are entirely utility focused. The only lock-in I'd say is Sin Binding Stone. It provides 15% damage reduction to yourself and allies for 15 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. It has insane value, particularly on some of the harder bosses in the game. Your second option mostly comes down to what you value, have available, or simply prefer. Feel free to test things out and see what you like. And there we have it. This was Method's Ardeos Guide. Thank you all for watching. If you found this useful, be sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to let us know your thoughts on fellowships in the comments below. Much love friends, see you around.